What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? I'm doing fine myself. Today, is day 7 of the Trump trial we're going to cover. Yesterday, I did cover the oral arguments that was made to the Supreme Court. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out at my previous video, after watching this video, of course. Um, Hold on. Sorry, fucking my stuff. Let's see. I'm messing with something right now. Okay, cool. Anyways, yeah, so go check that out after you're done with this video. My predictions, I think it's going to end up being 5-3-5, or either 5-4 or 6-3. The 5 or the 6 are for, and then the 3 or 4 are against. I think. God damn it. I think it's going to end up being Thomas, Barrett, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Alito are going to vote yes, and then Sotomayor, Jackson, and Kagan are going to vote no, and then Roberts is the either or. Now that's my prediction. We'll see if I'm right. Maybe I'm not. Probably not. But that's what I think. Just going based off their questions and the pushback they gave, that was my sense of it. But I could be very well wrong. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll have to wait till the decision is laid down and see. I have no idea. Let's see. I think that's all. But yeah, so check out that video. Also check out my gaming channel, rumble.com/gamingwithghost. Just been playing some Helldivers too. We had a good session yesterday, where I got annihilated a bunch. So check that out. Also, let's see, some more housekeeping. Follow me on X at officialwghost. That's the best way to find me, and it's also, you can also watch me because I do also go live on X. Pop it. There we go. Sorry. So yeah, so check me out on the X Factor. But yeah, just check me out on X. That's the best way to see when I go live and all that important stuff. There we go. And then let's see. Of course, follow me on Rumble, rumble.com/withghost, youtube.com/@withghost, and then twitch.tv/@officialwithghost. So those are my various channels that you can check me out on. Sorry. Trying to get things set up back here. Let's see. I think that's it. I think that's all the housekeeping I have for the day. So just be on the lookout for that stuff, or just check me out in those various areas. Yeah. I don't think I got anything else for y'all. So let's get to it. There we go. All right. So at 9:37 a.m. yesterday, court was in session. Judge is on the bench. Court is in session. Good morning, Mr. Trump. Merchant says Trump appears to be sucking on a mint or a candy. Yeah, okay. Court starts with debates over objections on evidence. Court begins today with discussions of a debate from Tuesday over objections about evidence. Trump's attorneys say they discussed their options with prosecutors and they made progress, though they still have some issues to work out. The judge loves to hear that. Judge is asking whether they can begin testimony anyway. Prosecutor says he thinks so because there's only one document in the next hour or two of testimony. They'll deal with an issue over one exhibit during a break later this morning. Judge is calling for Pecker to be brought in, but the district attorney office stops him to put on record another violation of the gag order. Prosecutor says there's been 4 violations of the gag order in 3 days. Violations of the gag order when Trump spoke outside court. The first 2 violations of the gag order, prosecutor Chris Conroy sides came when Trump spoke to cameras outside the courtroom. The prosecutors argued Trump has violated the gag order Monday night during a news interview. He says Trump spoke about how fast the jury was picked and claimed the jury pool was 95% Democrats. Prosecutors also cite Trump's comments at his event this morning, where he spoke with tabloid publisher Pecker, in which he said that Pecker was nice. This is a message to Pecker, be nice. It's a message to others. Conroy says, adding the message to other witnesses is that Trump has a platform and will comment on their testimony. Judge does not react to prosecutor's presentation. He's not issuing his gag order ruling. So these are the comments. Trump's interview with Philadelphia TV station, during which he said Michael Cohen is a convicted liar and he's got no credibility whatsoever. Trump speaks about how fast the jury was picked and saying the jury pool was 95% Democrat during a Monday night news interview. Trump said during an event in New York City Thursday morning that Pecker was nice, which prosecutor says is a message to Pecker and other witnesses to be nice. Let's see. Pecker's back on the stand. During his testimony on Tuesday, the former tabloid executive spoke about 2 of the 3 catch-kill deals, but not the one involving adult film star Stormy Daniels, which is likely coming today. You know, it's funny, and I was reminded of this yesterday when I was watching Rekieta Law's stream, is that this whole trial is over a couple of mislabeled business deals. So they're business records. Like that's all this trial is really over. But they're really trying hard to tie it in with election interference. But they didn't charge with election interference. They charged with mishandling or mislabeling business records. And somehow that's tied into election interference. They even said in the opening statement that this is, about an election interference and conspiracy. But as far as I know, there's nothing illegal. And actually, it's proven that there's nothing illegal with grabbing a story and paying for it and then not allowing it to be published. There's nothing illegal about that, even during a campaign. You want to know how we know it's not illegal? Donald Trump's not charged with buying stories for no other reason than to prevent them from being published. He's not. And there's no campaign finance law violations he's being charged with either. He's just being charged with, 34 counts of mislabeling a business record? So if he labeled it correctly, there would be no case. That's all this really is. But they're really trying hard to tie this into election interference. But there's nothing electoral interfering at all. Because again, there's no charge for interfering with an election. There's no charge of that. It's all the charges are just mislabeling a business document. So they're really trying hard to label this as election interference, but there's nothing interfering in the election. There's no charging for that. It's all just mislabeling it. And you wonder why people are skeptical now when Donald Trump's brought on charges, because they bring him on charge and then they try and get that in the same breath as election interference to try and make you convict him on election interference when that's not really the case. I don't think this case is really that strong for them, because otherwise why are they trying to pull this into with trying to put this in at the same way as election interference. Anyways, that's my rant. Jurors are seated and questions has resumed. Let's see. Prosecutor Steinglass begins by resuming questioning of David Pecker about Karen McDougal. He's asking about his conversation with former National Enquirer editor-in-chief Dylan Howard after Howard had interviewed McDougal. Pecker says that Howard told him he believed the story could be true or was true, but she had no corroborating evidence. Howard described McDougal to Pecker after the interview. She claimed she had a year-long sexual relation with Trump, but didn't have any corroborating evidence. But Howard said he believed the story was true. Okay, cool. Pecker says the National Enquirer editor Howard offered McDougal $10,000 to buy her story, but she refused. Pecker says that he had a three-way call with Howard and Michael Cohen. Cohen told me to be sure to use Signal. Pecker said immediately. Cohen said it's not true, which is something he always said. Pecker testified, but still Cohen at the time said he looked into it. Pecker is now describing how Cohen told him he wanted to have him buy the McDougal story. When Howard suggested he'd offer $10,000, which included the entire story, she refused. Cohen suggested we go ahead and try to buy the story, Pecker testified. At first, he said that the story wasn't true. Pecker said he said ABC was interested in buying the story, and a Mexican group offered to buy it for $1 million. Pecker said that Cohen didn't think she wanted to have her story out there. Pecker is testifying that McDougal didn't want the story to be published. She said she didn't want to be the next Lewinsky. She wanted to restart her career, Pecker says. Pecker says McDougal's attorney, Keith Davidson, was one of Howard's key sources and went into thinking of why they needed to buy the story. It looks like Davidson also repped Stormy Daniels in her NDA negotiation with Cohen. Pecker is now receiving a call from Trump while he has an investor meeting in New Jersey. Pecker says on the phone call, when I got on the phone, Mr. Trump said to me, I spoke to Cohen. Karen McDougal is a nice girl. Is it true that a Mexican group is looking to buy the story for $8 million? According to Pecker Trump said, what should I do? Pecker testified that he said, I think you should buy the story and take it off the market. I believe that when Mr. Trump said that she was a nice girl, I believe that he knew who she was. Pecker said he felt it'd be very embarrassing for Trump and for the campaign. You know what's also be embarrassing for? His company, too. Not just his campaign, but also his company would be kind of embarrassed, too. Would it not? Prosecutor is asking Pecker why he told Trump that they should buy the story. I believe the story was true. Or even if it wasn't true, it's always good to ensure that there's no story being blasted. It's always good policy to do that. Cohen told Pecker recalls Cohen told him about paying for the story, saying the boss would take care of it. Prosecutor asked Pecker to clarify who the boss was. Donald Trump, he says. Let's see. Pecker instructed Howard to negotiate the terms after Cohen called him to tell him to buy a story. Cohen said to him, "Don't worry, I'm your friend. The boss will take care of it." He understood that would mean he would be reimbursed by Trump Org or Trump himself. Earlier, Pecker said that Cohen referred to Trump as the boss. Yeah, he said that on day 6. And then he just reaffirmed that earlier. Let's see. Steinglass is asking Pecker how he felt about Cohen's assertion that Trump would reimburse him. Over the years, I know that I worked with Cohen. I know he didn't have any authorization to spend or disperse any funds from Trump organization. Pecker says. Pecker said he was authorized to move forward with Howard, who would negotiate terms, but at this point they hadn't discussed the purchase price for the McDougal story yet. He says every time he and Cohen would go to lunch, he paid, not Cohen. Cheap bastard. Pecker testified that Howard gave his updates on the negotiations to purchasing McDougal's story were happening. Laying out the terms of the agreement, Pecker says that would purchase the lifetime rights for $150K. McDougal wanted to restart her career, writing articles and being an anchor for Radar magazine for red carpet events. Pecker said he updated Cohen on the negotiations as he heard from Howard. Excuse me. Pecker says that when they had the price, he had a discussion with Cohen on who should pay. Cohen told him that he should. Pecker says, "Michael, why should I pay?" Pecker says he responded, "I just paid $30K for the Dorman story. Now you're asking me to pay $150K for the Karen story." Pecker and Cohen spoke daily. Cohen was agitated. Pecker testified, always asking, "Why is this taking so long? Why didn't we buy the agreement yet?" Cohen on the phone reiterated, "Don't worry, I'm your friend. The boss will take care of it," Pecker says. Steinglass is now showing text messages between Pecker, Howard from 2016 and Karen McDougal. Jurors have the screens with the evidence in front of them, so we're leaning forward to look at the text. The parties established the date of the text messages after Pecker confirmed to Steinglass that in July, the date of the text messages, it was daylight saving time, meaning a 4-hour difference from UTC. Pecker testified that he understood he'd be reimbursed by Trump organization or Trump himself if he paid the $150K for McDougal. Juror can see text on screen on July 23rd, 2016. Former Howard texted Pecker, spoke to MC about the other issue, obviously concerned that it's proceeding with filming dates, etc. Wants me to handle it. I'm on it. MC refers to Cohen. Pecker says he can't remember what text is referring to, asking for more clarity. Steinglass suggested it would be clear as they continue with questioning. According to the records, Pecker responded hours later, "Good move," and follow up. Pecker says he has concerns about the legality of paying to kill a story about political candidate. Steinglass asked Pecker if he was concerned about the legality of paying to kill a story concerning a political candidate. "Yes, I did," Pecker asked. "Well, no one's been charged with buying and killing a story that I know of." Pecker said the contract with McDougal was signed the first week of August 2016. So American Media Inc. agreed to pay $150K to McDougal 5 months before the 2016 election for her silence. about allegations of an affair with Trump. According to prosecutors, Trump has denied the affair. This payment is not part of the charges against Trump. The prosecutors have said court filings that the testimony would help to establish a pattern of payments. Also, so that kind of tells you the legality of it. It's not illegal to buy a story to kill it for a political candidate. After testifying that he was concerned about the legality of paying to kill a story concerning a political candidate, Pecker elaborated his concern stemmed from an 03 incident involving Arnold Schwarzenegger. Pecker said that at the time, he was buying several fitness magazines and added that he had a meeting with Schwarzenegger, who had been on the cover of the magazines between 70 and 80 times. Pecker said Schwarzenegger wanted to be an editor at large and also told him he was going to run for California governor soon. I would like you not to publish any stories about me now or in the future. Pecker called Schwarzenegger, telling him. Pecker agreed, and shortly after, Schwarzenegger announced his candidacy on Jay Leno's show. Pecker testified that after the announcement, a number of women called in with stories about Schwarzenegger, including stories about alleged relationships and alleged sexual harassment. The agreement, I should say, that I had with Arnold was that I would call and advise him any stories that were out there. I ended up buying them for a period of time, he said. He explained that one of the women whose stories was purchased ended up taking it to the Los Angeles Times after Pecker did not run it. It was very embarrassing for me and the company, and at the time there was an investigation by the state. Pecker said Schwarzenegger had to resign as editor at large for the fitness magazines, he said. Pecker added the situation gave him pause to buy stories in the future. Really? Doesn't sound like you were charged with anything. So why would it give you pause? There was like an investigation, but you weren't charged with anything. McDougal contract with National Enquirer parent company being shown. Steinglass is now showing that McDougal contract with AMI, the National Enquirer parent company. The agreement is dated August 5th, 2016. Pecker says it was a 2-year agreement, and McDougal was going to get a monthly column on aging and fitness in Star and OK magazines. American Media Inc. was going to hire ghostwriters who would write articles that McDougal would then approve, Pecker testified. McDougal would have the absolute right to approve any images used for her, he added. Steinglass is highlighted a line in the agreement that states AMI acquires McDougal's rights for her story, including any romance, personal and or physical relationships McDougal has ever had with any then married men. Steinglass asked Pecker who the married man was in reference to. She was referring to Trump, Pecker said. Pecker explained that what limited life rights means, saying that you can buy the rights for the specific story and cannot be published by any other published company. You cannot discuss it with any other media, and it was exclusively owned by American media, he said. Steinglass asked whether this was the true purpose of the agreement. Pecker says yes. Prosecutor asked then, why did Pecker include the other items in the agreement? I wanted to substantiate the $150 payment. Pecker says, Steinglass asked again whether the primary purpose of entering the agreement was to buy McDougal's life rights. Yes, it was, Pecker says. I wanted to have the contract be a record that stipulates that for the services she was going to perform for American media has a basis for it with $150K. He says Pecker explained that if McDougal breached the contract, she would have to return the $150K. Yeah, none of this is illegal. Steinglass is now showing an AMI invoice for $150K from Kenneth Davidson, McDougal's attorney. Pecker is explaining how the $150K expense was coded to at AMI to the president budget, which was Pecker's office. Pecker testified that he, Howard, and AMI general counsel were aware of the contract with McDougal. Steinglass asked Pecker who on Trump's side knew about the contract. Pecker says, after an objection for a leading question that was sustained, Steinglass asked a second question about who knew on Trump's side. Yes, I believe Donald Trump knew, Pecker says. Well, that's your belief. You got any evidence to the fact? Saying again, none of this that they're discussing is illegal. Okay. Again, this is not illegal because Trump is not charged with buying and killing stories. He's charged with mislabeling business records. So none of this is illegal. Pecker explained filing the payment to McDougal under the presidential budget was a clerical decision because the editor budget was limited for smaller transactions. AMI, the National Enquirer parent company, paid for McDougal's life rights via wire transfer, Pecker says. The paperwork for the transaction is now being shown in court. Steinglass is now introducing the AMI payment voucher. The prosecutors walking Pecker through the mechanics of how this payment was made from start to finish. Steinglass is having Pecker confirmed with each document the dates of the payment and the amount of the payment listed. Records show McDougal was paid in August of 2016, a few days after the contract was signed on August 5th. So the records show McDougal was paid via her attorney on August 10th, a few days after the contract was signed. Well, 5. Pecker testified he had concerns about the legality of catch and kill deals in 2016. Pecker testified he consulted an election law attorney when AMI was structuring the catch and kill contract with McDougal and said that the AMI in-house attorney was aware of the deal. Still, AMI moved forward and signed a deal with McDougal, including rights to any stories involving married men, with no intention of publishing health and fitness articles they promised her. 2 years later, AMI signed a non-prosecution agreement with federal prosecutors investigating Conan. Under the deal, AMI admitted it violated campaign finance laws by making a $150,000 donation to Trump's campaign while coordinating with the campaign. AMI never disclosed contributions to the Federal Election Commission. As part of the deal, Pecker cooperated with federal prosecutors. And now we get why he's talking to them. He has to as part of their deal so they don't prosecute him. During questioning on Thursday, Pecker said he knew at the time that the 2016 deal was illegal, and he wouldn't have entered into it if it wasn't for Trump's benefit. How is the deal illegal? Trump's not charged with catch and kill deals. As far as I know, no one else is charged with it. So how is it illegal? Now, these campaign finance laws, it seems like the 150 donation in Trump's campaign has more to do, at least on paper here, it seems has more to do with the fact they didn't disclose the contribution with the FEC. So that's probably the illegal part, but I don't think the 2016 deal was illegal itself because Trump's not charged with it. He apparently knew all about this, but Trump wasn't charged with any of this. I don't think Cohen was charged with any of this. Let's see. Steinglass is asking whether Pecker had an intention of printing McDougal's story about Trump. No, he did not, Pecker says. Steinglass followed up asking whether Pecker's intention was so that her story did not influence the 2016 election. Yes, it was, Pecker says. Again, it's not illegal. Trump's attorney objects to a Siri question by Steinglass about Pecker's knowledge of campaign finance laws at the time of the transaction. The objection is overruled. Let's see. Steinglass is asking whether Pecker was aware that corporations making campaign expenditures in coordinating with a campaign without disclosing them was unlawful. So there we go. That's the unlawful part is making campaign expenditures in coordination with a campaign and not disclosing them. All this is not, it's not illegal unless you don't disclose them. Pecker says yes. Pecker also confirmed the transactions was not reported under campaign finance obligations. Steinglass is asking why he didn't want other outlets to publish McDougal's story. We didn't want the story to embarrass Trump or embarrass or hurt the campaign, Pecker says. Pecker clarifies that when he says we, he's referring to himself and Conan. Pecker testified he would have entered the agreement if it weren't for Trump's benefit. Pecker says he discussed the reimbursement for the McDougal's deal with Conan after AMI laid out the money. Pecker says he asked Conan on a number of occasions how the company would be reimbursed. The former tabloid executive says he wanted the repayment before September 30th, when the company's quarter ended. He wanted the proper true ups on the various accounts at AMI, Pecker added. Pecker says he was explaining to Cohen why he kept discussing the issue of repayment. I wanted to explain why it was so important to be reimbursed, Pecker told the court. Why worry? I'm your friend. The boss will take care of it, Pecker says Cohen would respond. Earlier, okay. Again, the boss is Trump. Pecker testified that Conan was insistent about getting all the content that AMI had on Trump. Pecker says he told Conan it was boxes of old news articles and old files, but Pecker says Conan insisted Trump wanted the box. Now that's just saying that's what Cohen is saying, what Trump wanted. Conan called Pecker constantly in September 2016 to get the boxes to his office. Pecker says, as to why Conan wanted the documents, Pecker says the boss says if I got hit by a bus or the company got sold, he didn't want anyone else to potentially publish those stories. Pecker has explained that he negotiated with Conan the amount he would sell the lifetime rights for the McDougal story. Pecker says he valued the editorial work that McDougal would do for AMI at $25K, so he would sell the lifetime rights for $125K. Pecker says Cohen got anxious to get the lifetime rights signed over to him on Trump's behalf. Cohen wanted the contract yesterday, and this was going towards the end of September. Pecker told Cohen he would have the contract done by the end of September. Pecker says he saw this was a way to recoup at least some of the money he laid out for Trump. Yes, as I said, it was coming towards the end of the quarter, so I wanted to see if I could get funds refunded before September 30th. So there was a sidebar here. Prosecutors are showing an invoice that was prepared for the reimbursement. Pecker is explaining why the invoice is prepared by Investors Advisory Services, a company owned by a former AMI employee who became a consultant. Pecker is explaining he uses company services for large reimbursements because he had difficult experience with the company where his financial department would tell tabloid editors about expenses like flying a celebrity in a private jet. Pecker says he told the consultant, I don't want to have a check from Trump organization going through American media. Pecker says Pecker says he asked a consultant to work with Conan on the McDougal reimbursement. Pecker informed Conan of this and made the introduction. Pecker is saying he put the consultant in touch with Conan and he would create a company called Resolution Consultant to bill it. Excuse me. At this point, judge gave the jury an instruction that the document was accepted into evidence for the fact that it was created, but the jurors should not consider the truth of what it says. Steinglass asked if it's fair that Pecker used the consultant as a middleman. It was objected to by the defense. The jurors sustained it. I used Daniel Rothstein, SP, whatever that means, because I did not want to have a payment received in the AMI finance department from the Trump organization or Michael Cohen. Pecker said, referring to the consultant. Why not? Steinglass asked. Because I believe the payment would raise a lot of questions and issues. Steinglass is having Pecker read the invoice item, which says the money was billed for a flat fee of advisory services. Pecker says that's not what the $125K invoice was for. It's for the lifetime rights to Karen McDougal's story. Pecker, speaking about the transaction, testified he assumed Cohen was being reimbursed by the Trump organization or Trump In regard to this contract, Pecker says he signed on behalf of the assignor, and Conan signed as the assignee, whatever. The document, which was assigning the rights of the McDougal story, was dated September 30th, 2016, but the agreement was never executed, Pecker said. Pecker testified that the agreement was off, adding that, "I'm not going forward. I want you to rip up the agreement." Pecker said that Cohen was furious. He was very, very angry, very upset, screaming at me, basically, Pecker said. According to the Pecker, Cohen told him on the phone, "The boss is going to be very angry with you." I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going forward. The deal is off," Pecker said. He told Cohen, adding that he said, "I'm very concerned." Pecker testified at the end of the conversation. He said, "Are you going to rip it up or not?" And Cohen said, "I'll take care of it." Short break. Judge is back on bench. We are now just going to discuss exhibits. Steinglass handed the judge a binder with the exhibits. Not important. Prosecutors are discussing with the judge exhibits they wanted to submit into evidence. They've raised text messages Howard sent during the 2016. One of the texts Howard sent reads, "At least if he wins, I'll be pardoned for electoral fraud," according to Steinglass. The reading of the text was followed by a chuckle from the crowd. Merchant said for the time he's excluded the text, but would consider it some more over lunch. Yeah, that's just him. Like, come on, that's a joke. "I'll be pardoned for electoral and fraud." Like, that's a joke. It's very clear it's a joke. So Pecker's back on stand, Jerry back in the courtroom. Attorneys signaled that they will not be done with Pecker's testimony today. Prosecutor said he had about 2 to 3 hours left. Trump's attorney, Bove, noted that there's a lot more to come. "We're not going to finish today," Bove said. Judge noted that he wasn't trying to rush Trump's side and they could have as much time as they wanted to cross. Steinglass is resuming questioning of Pecker. Pecker is now summarizing the Access Hollywood tape. He says he recalls when the tape went public, saying it was very embarrassing, very damaging to the campaign. Not really, considering the fact he won. Pecker is saying that Conan raised to him a post on Radar Online, an online site owned by AMI, which referred to Trump as a Playboy man. Pecker testified that Cohen told him he should immediately take it down. Pecker said he told Howard to remove the article immediately and notified Cohen. The email from Howard to Cohen ends with, "I've deleted the text story completely. It's no longer exists." Pecker is saying Howard was following his instructions to remove the story from the Radar site. The story in questioning from October 27th, according to emails Steinglass is showing that Howard sent to Cohen. Pecker says the email chain was also sent to Hope Hicks. Pecker told prosecutors that he spoke with Cohen about the fallout from the Access Hollywood tape. Cohen told Pecker that the tape was very, very damaging to the campaign. Everyone was very concerned. Pecker said that they were concerned what impact it would have on the campaign. Steinglass is now moving on to questioning about Stormy Daniels. "Do you know someone named Stephanie Clifford?" Steinglass asked Pecker. Pecker replies, "Stormy Daniels was a porn star he has never met in person." Pecker is now testifying about his conversation with Howard about Daniels' story. He testified that he told Daniels, he was told that Daniels was trying to sell a story that she had sexual relations with Donald Trump. According to Pecker, Howard told him on the phone that they would acquire the story for 120 if we make this decision right now. They could acquire the story for 120K. Steinglass is now showing text messages between Pecker and Howard from October 2016. On October 9th, Howard texts Pecker, woman wants 120K. She has offered from Mail and GMA want her to talk and do a live detector live. I know the denials were made in the past, but this story is true. I can lock it in on publication now to shut down the media chatter, and we can assess next steps thereafter. Okay, we can't pay 120K. Okay, they need to handle. Perhaps I call Michael and advise him, and he can take it from there and handle it. Later, Howard texts again, spoke to MC, all sorted, now removed, no fingerprints. I'll recap you face to face. Earlier, Pecker explained that no fingerprints meant there was no paper trail. It meant AMI would not have no association with the story. Pecker said he told Howard great work after he said he had it sorted out. Pecker is testifying more about why AMI couldn't pay 120K for Daniel's story. He said, I don't want the National Enquirer to be associated with porn star, Pecker says on the stand, adding that with a Walmart as the main distributor of the magazine, it would be very bad for AMI. Steinglass then asked Pecker to explain why he sent Daniel's story to Cohen. Pecker says the story could be very damaging and thought it could come off the market. If anyone was going to buy it, I thought Michael and Trump should buy it, Pecker says. Pecker says he first learned from about Daniels from Howard. He says his understanding with attorney Keith Davidson reached out to Howard about Daniel's story. Pecker explained how he spoke to Cohen to tell him that American Media Inc. would not purchase Daniel's story. I'm not purchasing the story, Pecker said he told Cohen at the time. I'm not going to be involved with porn star. Cohen then told Pecker that the boss would be furious with him. Again, it's Trump. We're not paying out any more monies. Pecker said he explained. Pecker said that Howard continued to talk to Cohen about the story against Pecker's orders. Howard was upset about Cohen's negotiations with Daniel's attorney Keith Davidson. According to Pecker, Howard said Cohen was going to wire the funds to Davidson twice, but never did. Howard was concerned he'd look bad to his two top sources over Cohen's behavior. Pecker testified he got a call via the encrypted message app Signal with Howard and Cohen, where Howard once again told Pecker to buy the Daniel story. Said, I'm not going to pay for the story. I don't want to be involved with this from the beginning. I'm not doing it, Pecker told the court. Pecker said the call was made on Signal at Cohen's request. Michael Cohen requested every time we had a conversation, we should use the Signal app. Again, it's because it's encrypted. Not important. Steinglass is now asking Pecker about a Wall Street Journal story from November 2016 about McDougal's agreement with AMI. In this article, the journal questioned Pecker's relationship with Trump at the time. Pecker says, adding, it was published just Pecker says he spoke with Trump about the article after it was published. Trump was very upset. How could this happen? I thought you had this under control, Pecker says. According to Pecker, Trump told him either you or one of your peoples leaked the story. Following the story, Wall Street Journal story, MI issued a statement denying it was killing negative stories about Trump. Pecker says on the stand, Pecker is acknowledging that denials were false. Asked why he did it, Pecker says, I wanted to protect my company. I wanted to protect myself. I also wanted to protect Donald Trump. Pecker is saying he wanted McDougal to speak to the press because the Wall Street Journal already set the stage and tone to what the story was. Pecker said he wanted to keep control of the story so it didn't go further in the market. They hired a press consultant for McDougal who reported to Pecker, the Pecker testified. Pecker says that after the Wall Street Journal published its story on the agreement between McDougal and AMI amended the deal. AMI received a call from a new lawyer saying McDougal wanted to amend the agreement because she would like to speak to the press. Pecker says that Cohen highly recommended he did not amend the deal. He said it was a very bad idea, adding that Trump would be very angry. Pecker says he did not take Cohen's advice. Pecker testified that he met with Cohen at Trump Tower after the election, and Cohen was still asking for the box of information about Trump. Pecker said he's not going to let Cohen go through the boxes. Pecker assured Cohen that there's nothing damaging to be worried about in those boxes, he testified. Pecker says he learned later that Cohen paid Daniels with his own money. Pecker is testifying he didn't know the details of the transaction between Cohen and Daniels in real time. He said he later learned Cohen had paid out Daniels out of his own fund. That was the first time I had ever heard of that. He says, Pecker recalls visiting Trump Towers in early January 2017, a meeting with former director James Comey, FBI director, James Comey, former White House press secretary Sean Spicer, former White House chief of staff Rice Pierbus, and former CIA director Mike Pompeo. They are updating Trump on a shooting in Florida. He testified. Pecker said he never seen so much security on Trump Tower. Mr. Trump introduced me to each of them. He said, here is David Pecker. He's the publisher of National Enquirer. Probably knows more than anyone else in this room. As a joke, Pecker said. Trump's attorney, Todd Blanchett, laughed and and Trump cracked a smile. There was some laughter in the courtroom too. Pecker said, unfortunately, they didn't laugh, referring to the heavy hitters in the room at that briefing. The end of the 2017 Trump Tower meeting, after the others left, Pecker testified that Trump asked him, how's our girl doing, referring to McDougal. Pecker says he told Trump she's doing well and writing articles. Pecker thanked McDougal for handling Pecker for handling the McDougal situation, Pecker says on stand. Steinglass asked if Trump said why he was so grateful about his handling the negative story. After a long pause, Pecker said he said the stories would have been very embarrassing. Trump appeared to be watching Pecker closely on the stand as Pecker paused to answer. Pecker said in the conversations he had with Cohen and Trump about these stories, Trump's family was not mentioned. So I made the assumption the concern was the campaign, he says. Made any objections. The Trump's team made an objection. Attorneys are at the bunch. Steinglass is asking Pecker about how Trump's concerns about negative stories shifted over time. Pecker says that before the election, Trump would express concerns about his wife, Melania Trump, and daughter, Ivanka Trump. If the negative story came out with respect to Trump, we spoke about it. He was always concerned about Melania. He was concerned about Ivanka. He was concerned about what the family here might hear. I'm assuming that means might hear or say about it, not saying whether it was true or not, Pecker says. After the campaign, Trump's concerns shifted. It was basically what the impact would be to the campaign and the election, he says. Lunch. Oh, this is not important. Back in courtroom, back in session. Judge said he signed the order to show cause regarding 4 new violations of gag order for former Trump for Trump. Bleh. He signed the order to show cause from the district attorney for the first 10 violations too. This means he will hear the additional 4 violations they have now added. He hasn't made a decision or held Trump in contempt. Boris Epstein, whatever, former White House aide who remained one of Trump's close advisors in the courtroom today. Okay, well, that's not important. Let's see. All right. Attorneys are debating the entry of text messages thread between Howard and Daniels, then publicist Gina Rodriguez, who was one of Howard's sources on Daniels Trump story. Trump's attorney says it's unduly prejudicial to bring in messages from Rodriguez because she's not considered a co-conspirator. But Steinglass says it's evidence going to the core of the conspiracy. Judge says he needs time to look at the 15 pages of text more closely. Steinglass says the prosecution won't submit the text through Pecker's testimony and can do so through a summary witness later. Pecker is back on the stand. Jury's back in the courtroom. The questioning begins. Pecker is testifying he got a call from the White House in July 2017. He says Trump invited him to the White House. It was meant to be a thank you dinner. Pecker says his wife didn't want to go to Washington. Called Trump back and told him that, but Pecker says he went anyways and brought business associates with him. During his visit to the White House, Pecker said Trump asked about Karen McDougal. As we walked out, President Trump asked me, how's Karen doing? So I said, she's doing well. She's quiet. Everything's going good. Pecker testified he had lunch with McDougal and her attorney Davidson for lunch in New York in August 2017. According to Pecker, McDougal talked about the articles she was working on with ghostwriters. She was a little upset because Howard had to change ghostwriters because they weren't working well with Karen, Pecker says. She also complained she hasn't been given media training, knowing she wanted to be the red carpet anchor for Radar magazine, Pecker said. Describing the purpose of the meeting, Pecker says it was to make sure AMI was holding up their end of the agreement. The questioning has moved back to discussing Cohen paying Daniels, not to discuss her relationship with Trump. Steinglass is showing the jury the January 12, 2018 article in the Wall Street Journal, the first report the payment of $130K to Daniels. Pecker testified about a call he got from Trump the day after McDougal was interviewed by Anderson Cooper in March 2018. He said Trump called him and said they thought they had an agreement with McDougal that she can't give any interviews or be on any television show. Pecker told Trump on the call that he had amended McDougal's agreement. Trump was angry. Pecker testified he was very angry. He couldn't understand why he did it. Pecker said, referring to Trump. Steinglass asked Pecker to recall a phone conversation he had with White House staff members. Pecker testified he remembers a call from Hope Hicks and Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Both of them said they thought it was a good idea. Pecker said, referring to extending McDougal's contract. Pecker said he wanted to extend McDougal's contract so she wouldn't say anything negative about AMI or Trump. When asked, Pecker confirmed McDougal filed a lawsuit against AMI. She wanted to get back her lifetime rights, Pecker says. Pecker says Trump was skeptical of the idea. He said, it's your business. You should do whatever you plan on doing, Pecker says of Trump. They settled the lawsuit and AMI returned her lifetime rights to her, Pecker says. Did she pay the money back? Pecker testified that Trump called him about Daniel's interview with Anderson Cooper. He told Pecker that based on the agreement she signed with Cohen, she should owe him $24 million for breaching the agreement by talking about Trump in the interview, Pecker says. Okay, whatever. Okay. Pecker recalled a conversation that so basically all that Karen McDougal stuff here, it's to show that Trump knew about McDougal personally. That's all that was. Pecker recalled a conversation that he and Cohen had about letters from the FEC in 2018. Pecker said we committed a campaign violation. He testified he was worried, but Cohen said he was not, telling Pecker Jeff Sessions is the Attorney General and Donald Trump has him in his pocket. Steinglass has apologized for asking such a silly agreement, but asked Pecker to identify which candidate for president the immunity agreement with the Southern District of New York refers to. Donald Trump, Pecker confirmed. Jury's watching Steinglass often. Okay. Uh, Judge is now reading his limited instructions to the jury about the non-prosecution agreement that prosecutors struck with National Enquirer with AMI. Steinglass is having Pecker go over parts of the non-prosecution agreement from September 20th, 2018. Oh, excuse me. Merchant instructs the jury about the MPA with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York and the consolation agreement. He sits there to assist you in assessing David Pecker's accountability and to help provide context surrounding some events. Merchant says they may not consider this information when considering Trump's guilt as to charges at the issue in this trial. Part of the agreement shown in court says SDNY will not prosecute AMI for any crimes related to its participation between in or about August 2015, including in or about October 2016, in making a contribution expenditure aggregating $25K and more during the 2016 calendar year to the campaign of a candidate for president of the United States. Again, this is all because they didn't disclose that. They didn't disclose they gave what, 150K to Trump. Pecker confirmed he signed a cooperation agreement with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and the October 25th, 2019 agreement is now displayed in court. One of the lawyers of the jury made a facial. Oh my God, that's not important. Steinglass now reviews AMA corporation agreement with Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Pecker says, I left the company in August of 20. So this happened post my leaving, and the board of directors and company agreed to this agreement. Foreign publisher says he believed the company paid 180K fine. Sorry. Pecker says his understanding is that the company agreed not to contest the AMI committed a campaign violation in connection to the payment to Karen McDougal for Trump's benefit. When was the last time you saw or spoke to the defendant? Steinglass asked Pecker. Pecker says the last time they spoke was in January or February 2019. He said Trump hasn't directly tried to reach out to him since. I have friends that go to Mar-a-Lago and they run into Mr. Trump, he said. Pecker says he did not respond to the indirect outreach from those friends. No, I did not, Pecker says, adding it would be inappropriate to respond given the investigations going on. No, he thought it'd be. Steinglass asked if he has any ill will towards Trump. On the contrary, I talked about, I think it was Monday, I felt Trump was my mentor. He helped me throughout my career. Trump seems to be watching Pecker as he sings Trump's praises. I still consider him close. Even though we haven't spoken, I still consider him a friend, Pecker testified. Prosecutor concludes direct examination of Pecker. Steinglass has concluded the prosecutors. Okay, so basically, direct examination is over. Parties are at the bench. Now, Trump's attorneys will begin their cross-examination. Trump's attorney, Emil Bove, is starting his cross-examination by asking Pecker to confirm he was with AMI from 99 to 20. When asked, Pecker acknowledged he still has equity in AMI. Trump's attorney asked if he managed AMI to make money. That's correct, Pecker says. AMI wasn't a charity, Bove asked. No, it was not, Pecker says. Part of AMI business model was purchase stories, correct? Yes, it was, Pecker responded. Bove confirmed that with Pecker that the business models include buying stories, reiterating Pecker's own words that AMI uses checkbook journalism. Bove also confirmed source agreements are standard operation procedures for AMI to give the company control of, or if at all, the information that might be released. Trump is probably experiencing an immense amount of frustration. Oh, that's not what. Again, none of this is important. Bove is asking Pecker to describe other instances where AMI would purchase a story, including sometime as leverage against a celebrity. The former publisher confirmed he used a third-party consultant to facilitate large AMI payments for stories. He used this consultant to handle these sensitive payments because he was concerned about leaks, Pecker says. Bove is confirming that using the consultant to facilitate a possible reimbursement from Conan to AMI for the McDougal story was not unique to that situation involving Trump. He also confirms that Pecker that around the time of the Celebrity Apprentice show, research showed that Trump was a top celebrity who could drive the most sales for the National Enquirer at the time. So you ran articles about Trump because it was good for business. That's correct, Pecker said. Bove clarifies with Pecker that dating back to the 90s, it was standard practice to not publish negative stories about Trump. Yes, because it's not good for business. Yes. Well, that's pretty good. Pecker confirms during cross-examination he has been giving Trump a heads up on negative story for years, for about 17 years before the election. Fair to say they predate the meeting at Trump Tower in 2015 by a long time. Yes, Bove said. Yes, Pecker replied. That's almost 17 years prior to the meeting you described in August 15, Bove said. 17 years of providing President Trump with a heads up about potential negative publicity. Yes, Pecker said. So what he's establishing here is there's already an ongoing relationship to kill a negative story with Trump. So this isn't something new that they just decided to do. This was something that they've done for a while. Before this, have you heard the phrase catch and kill? Bove asked Pecker, referring to the hush money investigation. That's correct. Pecker responded. The first time you heard the phrase was from a prosecutor, right? That's correct. Pecker responded. Bove also walked Pecker through his mutual beneficial relationship with Trump, where Trump provided him stories, information about Celebrity Apprentice, and he tipped off Trump to negative stories and printed positive stories about Trump. This relationship you have with Trump is mutually beneficial relationship. You had similar relationships with other people, Bove said. I did, Pecker replied, confirming that there were other people he would promote in National Enquirer and give a heads up about negative stories. Bove says many politicians work with media to promote their image. Pecker confirmed that it's accurate. Pecker also confirmed that he had a mutually beneficial relationship with other celebrities, not just Trump. Bove asked if it's standard operation procedure for politicians to work with media. Pecker says. Yes, Pecker says. Yeah, I just said this. Let's see. Okay, not important. Okay. Bove is now walking Pecker through his deal with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which he described earlier during the prosecution questioning. Pecker this morning said he agreed to a catch and kill deal with Schwarzenegger in 2003 when Pecker was trying to acquire fitness magazines, and shortly before Schwarzenegger announced his run for governor of California. Earlier today, okay, that's not important. Earlier today, Pecker described how women reached out to him with stories about alleged relationships and alleged sexual harassment after Schwarzenegger announced his run. Bove in court now stated that 30 to 40 women ended up coming to AMI with stories about Schwarzenegger. Pecker confirmed. Pecker says he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for stories from women about Schwarzenegger. During cross-examination, Trump's attorney asked the Pecker about stories involving other celebrities and politicians. Trump's attorney sought to establish that with David Pecker, that AMI used checkbook journalism to roll narratives in the press and foster mutual benefit relationships between several celebrities, not just Trump. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mark Wahlberg, Rahm Emanuel, Tiger Woods. Pecker continued to respond yes to most of Bove's questioning, effectively letting the Trump attorney weave a narrative with short responses from the publisher. Now, this is very common with cross, because when you're doing cross, they're considered a hostile witness, so you can use leading questions. Ugh. All right. Bove is now focused on the Trump Tower meeting in August 2015. Bove confirms that Pecker that he first told prosecutors the Trump Tower meeting was the first week of August in 2015. Prosecutors corrected Pecker in that meeting, telling him that Trump had debates, so it couldn't have been then. Pecker says, "I discovered it was the middle of August." It's very odd. Bove poked holes in Pecker's memory, suggesting he was told Trump was away from the city the first week of August 2015. Pecker said he doesn't remember being told that. Pecker confirmed he told the grand jury in the meeting happened the first week of August. Bove challenges him, saying he's now changed his testimony about the timing on the stand now at the trial. "I don't mean to put you on the spot," Bove said, adding that it's hard to remember what people said almost 10 years ago. Bove says there are some things that your mind fills in the gaps. What I'm getting at is these things happened a long time ago. And even when you're doing your best, it's hard to remember exactly what happened. Pecker shrugs, and says he's testifying the best of his knowledge to be truthful. Pecker says, "I didn't feel that I added in language." Pecker said the most recent meetings he had with prosecutors was a few weeks ago, and he's had about 3 to 5 meetings with prosecutors this year. He said he remember 5 to 6 meetings with federal prosecutors in June, July, and August 2018. Bove then asked a series of questions about how prosecutors prepared Pecker to give consistent testimony each time he testified. Maybe not a script, but there were no questions that surprised right. It was not a script, Pecker said, but he also confirmed he wasn't surprised by any questions from the prosecutor. Basically, what he's getting at is that Pecker was prepped for his story. Bove asked Pecker to confirm his prior testimony that Cohen was always angling for something for himself. Pecker confirmed that Cohen asked Pecker to promote personal business ventures for him and his family throughout the years. Bove says that Pecker has been working with Cohen for at least 8 years before the 2015 meeting with Cohen. Yes, Pecker responded. He confirmed that in 2015 and 16, Cohen was always clear that he was Trump's personal attorney and he was not working for the campaign. Bove asked Pecker whether he told agents in a 2018 interview that Hope Hicks attended the August 2015 meeting with Cohen and Trump. Steinglass objected to this, and Judge Juan sustained the objection. Bove then tries again. Pecker asked to see what Bove was referring to, where he didn't mention Hicks. Bove was trying to get Pecker to confirm he did not mention Hicks when he first told prosecutors in 2018 about the August 2015 Tower meeting. Judge, attorneys, and Pecker are reviewing a report from 2018 interview Pecker had with the government. Bove again seeks to confirm the report does not indicate that Pecker told the government Hicks was at the August 2015 Trump Tower meeting. Pecker now confirms he didn't mention Hicks being at the Trump Tower meeting in the government interview. Let's see. Attorneys are at the bench. Steinglass asked to approach over an objection to Bove's series of questions about Pecker's past testimony relating to Hope Hicks' involvement in the 2015 Trump Tower meeting. Judge dismissed the jury for the day. After the jury left, Steinglass brought an objection, arguing that Bove's questions to Pecker about the FBI interview were improper and left the jury with a misimpression. Judge sided with Steinglass and said they'll have to correct that in front of the jury on Friday. The judge said Bove's actions left the jury with the impression that Pecker omitted information about Hope Hicks. Bove said the point of my question was that she was not in the meeting. Murden said he wasn't accusing Bove of doing it intentionally, but said he should be very careful of that. So that could be a bad look for him. If the jury perceives that he was trying to intentionally mislead them. Before leaving the bench, Judge Reeder he signed an order to show cause. So this is the cause. So Wednesday, there will be the gag order meeting. It looks like Judge Trump has 2 campaign events next Wednesday, and he has to. And the judge has to either sign a waiver for him to be excused. So there you go. So yeah, May 2nd is the gag order. Or sorry. It's moved to Thursday, May 2nd. So there we go. That's the end of it, guys. That's all. That's all she wrote. There's no more. It's all done. So we'll be covering day 8 on Monday. So today's. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, we'll be even though Lexi, yes, I but yeah, we'll be checking out day 8 on Monday. So be on the lookout for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I find it very fascinating. Again, that last bit could be a bad look for Trump and his attorney. If depending on how it is phrased, like it wasn't an intention to mislead, but if the jury thinks that Trump and his team intentionally misled them, that could be bad for Trump. But we'll see. We'll see what they said on today on Monday. So I hope you all have a good day. Make sure you check out my various channels. Follow me on X and make sure you like and subscribe to the video. I hope you all have a good day. Peace out. And I'll see you later.